Hello everybody! Yes, this is the long-awaited top 10 sets of man tits in wrestling. I should apologise for the delay, but when doing a list like this it takes much consideration and research. I would tell you why man tits are important in wrestling, like I did with haircuts, but they aren't very important at all. I should add that this list is for tits, not pecs. Also, there are penalties for people who cover their tits up. Number 10. Takeshi Morishima. Yes, the Marshmallow Schoolgirl is back. How could I not add him? His tits are something that have really been overlooked due to his girth, but really, when you look at his early work when he was thinner, he still had some pretty mighty tits. Number 9. Samoa Joe. As Scott Steiner would say,
he's fat!
And to accompany his fatness, he has a big pair of man titties. 3 years ago he wouldn't have made the list, but because of his refusal to exercise, I assume at least, his man tits have become mighty. Though I have noticed speculation on the internet that they are fake, and it really wouldn't surprise me if that were true.
Fat son of a bitch!
Number 8. Rio Chama. Here's a guy who most of you wouldn't have heard of, but he was fairly new in the business. He was actually a former sumo, but unlike a lot of sumos who try their hand at wrestling, he didn't lose any fucking weight. His tits are enormous, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hides food in them. I also wouldn't be surprised if one of them goes over his face while he sleeps and suffocates him to death. He gets penalised for covering those beasts up though. Number 7. Ric Flair. Most of you probably thought he was going to be on the list, and I couldn't imagine a list without him. While they aren't the biggest, they are quite noteworthy due to Flair's legendary status. When I was in school, anytime anyone would bring up Flair, there would be a discussion about his man tits. Kids these days will probably remember him for 3 things. 1. His woo. 2. His chops. And 3. Being the crazy guy with man tits who takes his clothes off when he's angry. Number 6. Genichiro Tenryu. Another legend of the business, much like Flair. What puts him ahead of Flair though, is his sag a lot further than Flair's do. Every year they go further down and his tights go further up. But what can you expect from a guy who's approaching his 60s who's been married 5 times? Maybe he plans on retiring when he can tuck his tits into his tights. I know that's something I'd like to see. Number 5. China. Do I really need to say anything about this guy? He loses points for covering them up though. Otherwise, he may have been number 2. Playboy doesn't count because they airbrushed his dick to make it look like a vagina. So I really doubt I would get an accurate representation of his tits. Number 4. Abdullah the Butcher. This man has wrestled everywhere, and he's taken his tits with him. I have a DVD of Australian wrestling from the 60s and 70s with him on it, and even back then, he had a fair set of man tits. So I really have to give him a 4th place ranking for longevity and due to the fact that they reach around to his back. Number 3. Makoto Hoshi. Here's another guy that most of you haven't heard of before, and there's no picture that can illustrate the might of these things, because when he stands still, they look like pecs. When he moves though, they are like jelly. I don't think anybody in wrestling has the jiggle ratio he does. So because I can't show you any pictures, here are some clips of them jiggling.
Johnny singing oldies goldies, Babalula, baby, what I say. Here come Johnny singing, I got a woman down in the tunnel trying to make it pay. He got the action, he got the motion. Oh yeah, the boy can play. Dedication, devotion, turning all the nighttime into the day. Do the song about a sweet love and more. They do the song about the night. Really do the walk. Do the walk of life. Yeah, you do the walk of life.
Number 2. Big Daddy V. Did you ever watch ECW when he was still around? I know I did, and it scared the shit out of me. I still have nightmares where he's running in slow motion. They were enormous. But unfortunately for him, he tried to cover up his nipples with suspenders, which lowers his placing. Fortunately for me at least, I can sleep sometimes knowing he at least tried to cover them up. It's the thought that counts, really. Number 1. Dusty Rhodes. This is my epic number 1 pick. You may say to yourself, there's nothing too spectacular about those titties. But you need to take a closer look. Do you see it yet? Of course, I'm referring to his blotch, which I'm counting as an extra man tit due to its shape and its ability to jiggle. That's 3 tits. Come on! Well, at least 2.5. I can't really say anybody else has that, which is the most amazing thing. He also taught people all over the world that you can have man tits and still be successful. Well, in an industry where you play fight with other grown men. So that's my top 10 man titties. Please comment, rate, favourite, and subscribe. And stay tuned for my next top 10 list, the top 10 physical deformities / injuries in wrestling history.